I began drinking when I started college in 2003. As a skinny girl, my tolerance was about 3 beers before I was feeling pretty drunk and would want to go to sleep. After a bad breakup in 2004, I started drinking every day and I saw my tolerance skyrocket. I would begin my drinking in the afternoon and continue until I blacked out just about every day. At my worst point, I was consistently drinking nearly a liter of Jack a day. I know this for a fact because every day I would have to go buy a new bottle. In my last semester of college, I was an absolute alcoholic mess. I came to a realization that, fuck it, I'm not going to graduate anyway, and stopped going to class and woke up every day, had 3 top shelf margaritas for lunch, and continued drinking beer or whiskey throughout the rest of the day. I would rarely be able to eat. I was usually blackout drunk by 8 p.m. This bender went on for nearly a month. I never sobered up. Towards the end, I woke up, went to class, and wham! The withdrawal hit like nothing I had ever felt before. I ran out of class, but my muscles could barely hold me up. I stumbled outside where I was violently ill to my stomach and began to hallucinate lights all across the sky, and I was unable to focus my eyes. I blacked out on the grass and woke up and began to have a full-on panic attack where I was shaking uncontrollably. I had a friend call the hospital right when my body was going into shock. My arms had seized to my chest and my mouth was blue. The EMTs were complete assholes who kept asking me if I was having a bad day. I explained to them that I was an alcoholic and I was pretty sure these were some pretty fucked up DTS, but they couldn't believe a little 21-year-old girl could have such a problem. So they just helped slow my breathing down, and my friends drove me home while I continued to hallucinate lights flashing and dashing across my field of vision, and I felt like I had absolutely no brain function at all. I had no motor control for the first 24 hours. If I tried to grip anything, even a soup spoon, I would begin to shake uncontrollably. This was the beginning of a literal 3.5 months of hell. I drank occasionally, which helped, but prolonged the withdrawals. I was violently ill to my stomach 24/7 and developed a hernia from retching so much. My esophagus was so raw, I couldn't even physically swallow alcohol without it burning so badly that I would cry. Whenever I laid down, the contents of my stomach would spill into the back of my throat because my stomach was literally lodged up there. I had severe anxiety and I couldn't drive my car, go into anywhere with bright lights, and if I heard any loud noises, my body would go into a violent panic attack where I basically went blind and I couldn't breathe or walk. I went to several doctors, but nobody would believe I could be withdrawing for this long of time, so they assured me it was just psychological. My skin itched so horribly, I scratched my skin raw. I couldn't digest food and became basically agoraphobic. I was so afraid of having a panic attack, I caused them every time I went out into public. This included several complete meltdowns in grocery stores where I tried to hand the teller my credit card only to begin shaking so violently I couldn't even hand it to them. I developed hemorrhoids, I know, gross, because all I could do during this was sit alone in the dark for weeks on end. I stopped drinking completely after the first month of cutting back, and the anxiety slowly tapered off. Eventually, I was given Ativan, which really helped, and I wish that doctors would have taken my problems more seriously and given it to me sooner, because it would have saved me so many months of torture. I tried drinking again last week after being 100 days sober and have been going through mild withdrawal all week, basic anxiety and nausea with some mild visual hallucinations. I did some research and found out that this is from the kindling effect, which means once you withdraw seriously one time, your body is more sensitive to alcohol and will go through withdrawal more severely even with less drinking. I'm now on the wagon because I can't imagine ever living through that again. As many teenagers out in the world, it all started off small. I began drinking at the age of 15. At first, it was so great. Any problems I had were instantly flushed away, and I felt on top of the world. Never in my entire life I felt anything that felt so damn good. As time went on, I began drinking like a fish. I was getting cocked, even at school. I used to get drunk to the point where I'd be throwing up and passing out. However I saw any fun out of that, I still don't know to this day. Even with my mother being an alcoholic, I still kept at it. Eventually, my mom saw what this was doing to her family and realized that she could potentially lose everything she worked hard for: her house, 3 beautiful children, and her husband. She got her act together, but I still kept at it. I've always had a thing for cars, and I'm 18 now. I finally got a really nice car, and I was so proud of it. All my life, my mom used to pay for everything I own. I got a job and began to save up. I ended up buying a 1993 Nissan Altima, decked out for speed. God damn, did I love that car. And for once in my life, I was proud to say I paid for it with my own money. It was all mine, and I felt so proud. Now, I always heard all the shit about don't drink and drive, but being as stupid as I was, I did it anyway. I was on my way home from playing pool at a pool hall where I live. I was so fucked up, I still don't remember the ride home to this day. I was about a quarter mile from my home when hell opened up on me. I was pretty much POD'd and had no clue what the hell was going on. I was going 50 around a bend. Half passed out, I hit wet leaves, and my car did a 180. The back end of my sports car hit a curb, sending me and my car I worked so hard for 7 feet off the ground. Now, what happens next is from what I'm told by police and paramedics and the kind souls that saved my life that night. My Nissan struck a utility pole at 50 miles an hour, sending my head through the driver's side window. The impact opened my trunk, sending my 12-disc CD stacker flying 30 feet from the wreckage. My sunroof immediately flew in front of me, 10 feet, at the same time I was violently thrown into the passenger seat. Now, that night my car was full, but earlier I dropped everyone off and was alone. Anyone in that car would have been instantly killed because the rear passenger door was smashed and pushed halfway into the back seat. My stereo system speakers were ripped out of place and ejected. Then, as quick as it all went down, I struck a rock after swinging from the utility pole. That night, I must have had an angel by me because my car was so fucked up that it looked like a trash compactor was just finished with it. Here's the crazy part. I only suffered bruises, split my head a little that only required 2 stitches, and got knocked out. For some reason, my life was spared that night, and I'm realizing now why that was. That was my wake-up call to cut the shit with binge drinking and drug use. I wasn't ready to die yet and have some purpose on this earth. Call it what you want to call it, but I call it fate. Drinking almost did take me to a place I have never been before. That is my very own grave. I'm so happy to be alive and see what life is really about now. I'm as straight as an arrow now, and call me a pussy if you want to, but I'm damn proud of it. I almost died that night. I would have never had the chance to see my friends or family ever again. Now, to all of you who follow what I used to do, think again, please. You might get your wake-up call too, but chances are you won't be so lucky. I'm not saying stop totally, but have a sober driver at least, because the guilt you will live with killing someone will be horrible, and I don't think you want to live your life as a murderer. Look alive and be true to yourselves. Don't walk the same path I did, please. Try to get something out of all of this and realize next time what could happen. Death is a high price to pay for any of us.